Hi, and this is Nicole with Con Freaks and Geeks. We're here today at Anime Expo 2018. I have here with me the lovely December Wynn, a lovely cosplayer as you can see. Can you please tell our watchers what you're dressed up as today and kind of do a quick introduction of yourself?
Hi, I'm December. I'm from Boulder, Colorado, and I am dressed as Antarcticite from Hoseki no Kuni today.
Awesome. So can you give us a quick overview of like the process and the thinking that went into creating this like really awesome costume?
For sure. This is an original design, actually, from Hoseki no Kuni, my favorite character, Antarcticite. And so I started with doing a lot of research, putting together a lot of Pinterest boards for it, of stuff that I like to do and stuff that I thought would fit the character in an original design. And then I sort of built it, starting with the big base pieces and doing a lot of detail work on top, a lot of rhinestoning, a lot of embroidery, and a lot of silver leafing.
Awesome, awesome. You're so talented, and you know it's hard to believe that like anyone could have just started out at some point. It just feels like you just started like this. But like, when did you actually start cosplaying, and what was the experience like?
Sure. I started cosplaying 8 years ago. Yeah, 8 years ago, with no skills whatsoever. I started off. My first cosplay was bad, but it was so much fun.
What was your first cosplay, if you don't mind sharing?
My first cosplay was Yukito from Cardcaptor Sakura, and then his Tsubasa version from the Clamp art book.
You're so talented. It's hard to believe that you were a beginner at some point in time, but obviously we all start somewhere. So do you mind kind of sharing with us what that process was like when you first started out, what skills you had?
Sure. So my first cosplay was Yukito from Cardcaptor Sakura, and I was a beginner with no experience in any sort of crafting or sewing or cosplaying. And I just sort of dove headfirst into it, and I would cringe to look at my work now, but I don't regret a second of it, just diving in and learning how to use the sewing machine as I went.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you, like, you know, with this particular cosplay, you used a lot of like, you know, really fancy skills in my opinion, because I can't even imagine, you know, with sewing, much less doing embroidery and leafing. What skills were you using at the time? Like, was it just a sewing machine? I know that personally, glue gun is my favorite tool. So, you know, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, back when I started, yeah, for sure. Sewing machine, the glue gun was a frequent tool in my arsenal. And it still is, but for different projects, different things it's meant for. So my sewing machine, the internet was really helpful. Learning how to cut out patterns was really helpful when I started as well. So learning how to use like store-bought patterns.
Awesome, awesome. So they say that, you know, things like cosplay, just any skill, at any point where you stop learning, you start to stagnate. You know, you're just not developing anymore, you're not growing. But obviously that's not the case with you. Can you tell us, like, you know, how you go about deciding like what skill to develop next? Is it like an issue of your cosplays, like this needs this particular skill, I need to learn it, or is it just I'm interested in this new thing?
Usually I see an example of a skill that I don't know how to do, and I think it's so beautiful that I have to do it. So I have to learn how to do it. So that's how I learned how to leaf on fabric, is I saw this piece of fabric that had gold leafing on it, and I just had to know how it was done. So a similar thing happened with this costume, and the embroidery was my first time doing embroidery. So I just saw this embroidery, and I just had to learn how to do it.
Awesome, awesome. What is a skill that you think is essential to your cosplays and that you recommend to any cosplayer to fully develop to, you know, get to the next level?
I would say learn basic foundational painting. I paint a lot on fabric, I paint a lot on props, but I owe a lot of what I know from painting to just your basic 101 painting courses. So learning color theory, just learning basic blending is really, really useful for all sorts of cosplay.
Awesome. So a lot of the skills you're talking about you learned, but did you learn in a formal environment? Like, did you go to school for it, or is it something like I went on YouTube?
It's been a lot of both. I do have a degree in theater arts, so I did get a BFA in theater arts, and I did learn a lot of my sewing skills from there. But a lot of my more specific skills, my leafing, my silk painting, my embroidery, came from self-research. A lot of books, a lot of YouTube. There are some great YouTube channels for crafting. A lot of good online resources.
Awesome. So you just came back from Cosplay America in North Carolina, where you were a special guest. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and how it might be different from like this convention?
Yeah. Cosplay America is a lot of fun. It was my second year back there. It is a really fantastic convention for cosplayers who really want to improve their craft and learn some stuff from some really great cosplayers. The entire guest list this year was really stunning. There were great workshops that happened. It's much, much smaller than Anime Expo for sure. Less warm. No, they're both great conventions with really great things going on. Cosplay America is just really unique in that it's all about workshops and learning.
Awesome. So is it something that you recommend to someone to like, if they want to take it to the next level to definitely go?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, awesome. As a panelist, so at this last Cosplay America, you were a panelist. And as a panelist, you are one of the people hosting these types of workshops. What skills did you teach?
I taught 2 hands-on workshops, and those were fabric painting and vinyl applique. So we actually went into the workshop and got hands-on and did some painting. Everyone painted, everyone did some applique. So that was awesome. I also taught just some panels on millinery and a panel on organizing yourself when you're making a detailed costume.
Can you tell people who may not know, what is millinery?
That's just a really fancy word for hat making.
Awesome. So you make hats. That's awesome. So since you've been in the community, you've won numerous awards. It's unbelievable. Your first award, I believe, was in 2011, and you've just been accumulating them ever since. Of those awards, which one are you the most proud of?
Gosh, I still haven't thought of this one. I would say the NDK. I took Best in Show at NDK a couple of years ago, and that I was very proud of that award. NDK is my home con. It's the first con that I ever competed at, really the first big con I ever went to, so it meant a lot to me to be able to go to that con and compete and win an award and be surrounded by my loving, supportive peers.
Is there anything that you want to say to your fans or to anyone who's just beginning their cosplay journey or who might just be in a skill rut?
Yeah. I would say, first of all, go for it. If you have a dream costume that's on your list, just dive in. That's how I learned how to do most of what I do. Just don't be afraid when it comes to skill ruts. And then I think as an overall, I would say just be kind, be friendly. There are so many wonderful people in this community. You have so many friends, just ready to grow friendships. So be kind, be generous, reach out to people.
Awesome. So one last question. It's a little bit more of a fun question, but who is your husbando and what are some games that you're currently playing?
My husband is Ginkgo from Mushishi, my favorite anime of all time and my favorite husband of all time. And some games I'm playing right now. Everyone who knows me knows I have a mobile game addiction, so I am playing Onmyoji right now, and I have for a little while now. Next up on the plate, I'm also replaying Star Ocean 3 right now. We're kicking it back a little bit. And next up on the plate is probably going to be Breath of the Wild.
That is a great game. Highly recommend, and can't wait to see you dress up. Okay, so with all of that said, what's next for December? When can we see you again?
I don't have a ton of plans right now. I have a couple passion projects lined up to go. I think I'm at the age now where I only want to make things I really want to make, so I guess everything is a passion project at this point. I have a couple projects. I think I'm going to be looking at making some Idolish 7 costumes next, because I also love some bad Idolish anime. And then I also am looking at making some costumes from a Chinese RPG called JX3 that is really beautiful stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, December. We can't wait to see you again in the near future. Guys, if you want to give her a follow, we'll be providing all of her information. And see y'all next time.